How important was the Battle of Bedegraine? How did Arthur win? And perhaps, most importantly, did he make the right choice in the end? Welcome back to the Lore Fireplace, where we explore the ancient legends and forgotten stories that shaped the medieval imagination. Tonight, we continue the story of King Arthur and witness the battle that transformed him from a disputed claimant into the unquestioned ruler of Britain. Let's start the fire. Arthur has been crowned king after pulling the sword from the stone, but a crown does not guarantee loyalty. Many of the most powerful men in Britain refuse to accept him. To them, Arthur is nothing more than a boy with a mysterious sword and an unbelievable story. The seeds of war are sown almost immediately. Shortly after his coronation, Arthur calls for a great feast at Carlisle, inviting the kings and lords of the realm to celebrate his ascension. Several answer the invitation, but they do not come to feast. They come to challenge. The gathering quickly turns into a crisis as a coalition of rival kings trap Arthur inside the fortress of Carlisle and lay siege to the city. For nearly 2 weeks, Arthur and his followers remain surrounded. Then, Merlin arrives. Rather than drawing a sword, he attempts diplomacy. Merlin tells the assembled kings that Arthur is no pretender. He reveals that Arthur is a true born son of Uther Pendragon, and therefore the rightful heir to the throne. The kings reluctantly agree to hear Arthur's case. The meeting goes poorly. They refuse to recognize him, the negotiations collapse, war becomes inevitable. Arthur leads his forces out against the besieging armies, and fierce fighting erupts. Through many great feats of arms performed, Arthur's forces are heavily outnumbered and begin to give ground. Then Arthur draws his magnificent sword Excalibur. The blade shines with brilliance in battle, inspiring all of his followers and striking fear into his enemies. Seeing their king stand firm, the people of Carlisle join the fight. The siege is now broken. Arthur escapes destruction, but he knows his victory is only temporary. A much larger conflict is coming, and it will culminate at Bedegraine. Following the fighting at Carlisle, Arthur gathers his council. Among his advisors, Merlin offers the most important counsel. Arthur cannot defeat the rebellious kings alone. He needs allies. Merlin advises him to cross the channel and seek aid of two powerful rulers, King Ban of Benwick and King Bors of Gaul. Both brother kings are locked in their own struggle against King Claudius of the Westlands and are searching for an advantage they can find. Arthur makes a simple proposal. Help me secure my throne, and I will help you secure yours. Ban and Bors agree. Soon they sail to Britain with their armies and join Arthur near London. Together they prepare for what will become one of the greatest battles in Arthur's early reign. The odds are daunting. Arrayed against Arthur are a stand 11 kings, among them King Lot, King Uriens, King Kratos, King Nenteres, King Vandergroes, King Clarence, the King of the 100 Knights, and several other powerful rulers. Together, they command more than 50,000 men. Facing them are Arthur, Ban, and Bors, with roughly 30,000 warriors between them, outnumbered, outmatched on paper, yet guided by Merlin. And that will prove to make all the difference. The battle begins with a surprise attack. Arthur, Ban, and Bors launch a sudden assault on the enemy camp before the opposing kings have fully organized their forces. The attack is devastating. Tents collapse, warriors scramble for their weapons, the battlefield erupts into chaos. As Sir Thomas Mallory tells us, King Arthur, King Ban, and King Bors set on them so fiercely that they made them overthrow their pavilions upon their own heads. Yet, despite the confusion, the 11 kings rally their men. The battle intensifies, thousands die before the day is over. Still, no decisive victory is won. Both sides set to prepare for another clash. That night, once again, Arthur turns to Merlin for advice. Merlin devises a plan. King Ban and Bors will conceal 10,000 men in the nearby woods. Arthur and the rest of their army will engage the enemies directly. They will fight through the night, holding the enemy in place. Then, at dawn, Ban and Bors will strike. If everything goes according to plan, the exhausted armies of the 11 kings will be caught completely off guard. It is a dangerous gamble, but Arthur accepts it. The fighting that follows is among the fiercest of Arthur's early career. Through the darkness, knights charge and countercharge. Warriors are thrown from their horse only to be remounted by loyal companions. Lances splinter, shields shatter, the field becomes a sea of mud, blood, and broken armor. Arthur himself rides at the heart of the fighting. He clashes with some of the greatest warriors in Britain, including King Lot and the King of 100 Knights. Hour after hour, the battle rages. Neither side yields. Then dawn arrives, and with it comes Merlin's trap. From the woods emerge King Ban and King Bors. 10,000 fresh troops clash into the exhausted armies of the rebel kings. The effect is immediate. The enemy lines begin to crumble. They begin to break. The coalition that had threatened Arthur's throne starts to collapse. The fighting drives them back towards the River Trent. For the first time, complete victory seems within Arthur's grasp. Ban and Bors watch in amazement as the young king continues to lead them from the front, relentlessly pressing the attack. Arthur is proving himself not merely as a king by birthright, but as a king by conquest, a king worthy of loyalty. And then, at his very moment of triumph, Merlin intervenes. As the enemy retreat, Arthur prepares to continue the slaughter. Merlin rides forward on his great horse and confronts him. According to Mallory, this is what Merlin says. Thou hast never done. Hast thou not done enough? Is it time to say ho, for God is wrought with thee? The warning is clear. Victory has been achieved. To continue killing would no longer be war, it would be vengeance, and God would not be happy. Arthur understands the message from Merlin and orders the pursuit halted. The surviving kings are allowed to withdraw. At first glance, this may seem like a mistake. After all, many of these same rulers will trouble Arthur again in the future. But the decision reveals something very important about Arthur's character. A lesser king might have sought total destruction. Arthur chooses restraint. He chooses mercy. In doing so, he secures something greater than a battlefield victory. He secures legitimacy. The rebellious kings disperse back to their homelands, many returning north to deal with some invading forces and some threats from the Scots. Arthur, meanwhile, turns his attention elsewhere. Soon, he marches to aid King Leodegrace against King Renice, and it is during this campaign Arthur first meets the love of his life, a woman whose name will become inseparable from his own, Guinevere. Meanwhile, King Ban and Bors return to France, their alliance with Arthur firmly established. The Battle of Bedegraine marks a turning point in Arthurian legend. Before the battle, Arthur possessed only a mystical legitimacy granted by the sword and the stone. After this battle, he possesses military legitimacy as well. His enemies have tested him and failed. The young king, who was mocked as a boy, has now defeated 11 kings in open war. It is in this moment that Arthur proves that he can inherit more than a kingdom. He can defend one. And remarkably, all of this happens before he receives his legendary and mythical sword, Excalibur, from the Lady of the Lake. That story is still to come. If you enjoyed this journey into the Battle of Bedegraine, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and join us for more deep dives into Arthurian legend and medieval lore. If you'd like to read the text on your own, I am getting all of these stories from Sir Thomas Mallory's Le Morte d'Arthur, which you can find a link down in the description. Until next time, keep the fire burning